A couple little hints here, and we're going to do 4 example problems in your notes. So you've got 2 pages to do all of that on, which I think that's more than enough space. So hints. Okay, the first thing that you need to do, if you don't like hints, you could put steps. So the first thing that you need to do is rearrange question in standard form. Okay, what does that mean? That means that you are going to either have an equation that says y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, or it could be ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. And when I say rearrange, is that you might have to group all your x terms together, all your x squared terms together, all your constant terms together. Okay? They could be written on both sides of the equation, and you have to regroup them. Okay? The second hint or second step is that if A is negative, I'm just going to put remove. I'm just going to put comma remove. And we'll talk about what I mean by that when we get to a problem like that. Okay? We cannot factor something like last week. If you look at all the examples that you were given last week, A was always positive when we factored last week. Okay? This week, you're going to have where A might be negative. And if A is negative, you have to add an additional step to it. It's not difficult. It's just you have to remove that negative. Okay? And then the last thing is that you are going to solve by factoring today and tomorrow. So all the equations that I give you today will be solved by factoring. In the future, next week, I will show you another method, and then when I give you these problems, you can choose which method you like. Okay? If I have my choice, I always choose the factor. I like the factor. I don't like the other method. It's too time-consuming to me. But I'll show you both methods. Okay? Because sometimes we get quadratics that don't factor, and so you have to use one method or the other. Okay, so we're going to do 4 problems. Here's the first problem that we're going to do. So y equals x squared plus x minus 6. Okay? So the first step said, is this in the correct order? It is in the correct order. It goes x squared, then x, and then our constant term. Okay? There is no negative a, so we don't have to worry about that. So then we're already on to the third step. We have to solve this by factoring. That is what we spent all last week on. So you're going to draw your diamond or your asterisk, however you want to do that. You need to put in your a value. So what value goes on either side on top? 1. What value goes in the middle on the top? Negative 6. And what value is going to go at the bottom? 1. So I can use my factor to 100 sheet to say what are the factors of 6 that's going to subtract to give you 1. 3 and negative 2. 3 and negative 2. And just like we did last week, we took what was on both sides here and we rewrote those as 2 binomials. So the first one would be x plus 3, and the second one would be x minus 2. That is nothing different than what you did all last week. Are we clear on that? Okay, because we still haven't solved this problem. Okay, we're just used our factoring techniques. Now, here comes the new part for today. Okay, you are going to set this equal to 0, which means you're going to set each one of your binomials equal to 0. So I did x plus 3 equals 0 and x minus 2 equals 0. Can you solve x plus 3 equals 0?
Yes.
How do you do that? You subtract 3, right? And you would get x equals negative 3. And then I'd look at my other equation which says x minus 2 equals 0. How would you solve that? Add 2. And you get x equals 2. Now, how did I tell you your answer would always be written? As an ordered pair. So I got negative 3, 0, and I get 2, 0. And now you're finished. So the new part for today is just setting each one of your parentheses equal to 0 and solving it. This will be either a one-step or a two-step problem. They will not be complicated, okay? Or shouldn't be complicated. And then to finalize, you have to write your answer as ordered pairs. Okay? So let's look at, we'll do another one similar to that. So problem number 2, we'll say y equals x squared minus 9x plus 18. Okay, again, we can start and factor right away because A is positive. Okay, these are just like what we looked at last week. So what's your A value that goes on either side at the top? 1. What's the middle value at the top? 18. And the bottom? Okay, so I need things that will multiply to give you 18 and add to give you negative 9. Negative 3 and negative 6. Use your factors to 100 sheet. Hopefully you still have it, haven't lost it yet. Okay, so now if I rewrite that binomial, we have 1 over negative 3. How am I going to write that as a binomial? X minus 3. And then the other one is x over negative 6. X minus 6. And now I include that equals 0. So I'm going to set both of those pieces equal to 0. How do I solve x minus 3 equals 0? Very good. So you get x equals 3. Okay, so my ordered pair would be 3, 0 and 6, 0. How comfortable do we feel with those? Those are good? Pretty good? Okay. So now I'm just going to throw one little additional piece into you, and it's pretty easy. It starts right at the beginning. So here's question number 3. We're going to have y equals negative 7x squared minus 20x plus 3. Okay, now here's the difference. What's my a value? It's negative, okay? And we have to remove that negative in order to proceed with this problem. Okay? So, what we are going to do is you are going to pull the negative, or keep the negative there, then you're going to put a parenthesis, and you are going to take the opposite of everything that's here. So what's the opposite of negative 7? So this would be 7x. What's the opposite of negative 20x? Plus 20x. And what's the opposite of 3? Negative 3. All I did was go in there and change these signs. The minus sign went to a plus. The plus went to a minus. Okay? Now, I ignore this negative out here because what does that negative tell us? It only tells us one thing about a parabola. What does it tell us? It opens down. And that's all I care about with that negative. After that, you could just get rid of it. Okay? So, I am going to focus now only on my trinomial and do it just like I did the last two problems. So when I factor this, my A is 7 and 7. My middle term at the top is negative 21. And my term at the bottom is 20. The top term, Cornelius, is A times C. A is 7, C is negative 3. Okay, so now I need factors of negative 20 that will, factors of negative 21, or 21 on your factor sheet, that will add or subtract to give you 20. It's 21 and 1, but one of them has to be negative. Which one? Which one? 1. Because I need a positive 20. Okay, what does 7 over 21 reduce to? 1 over 3. So how would I write that as a binomial? X plus 3. And now I have 7 over negative 1. How would I write that? 7x minus 1. Okay, set both parts equal. So x plus 3 equals 0, and 7x minus 1 equals 0. So this is going to be x equals negative 3. Now, how do I solve this? This isn't as easy as looking at it, but it is still pretty easy. So what are you going to do first? Add 1. So 7x equals 1, and then what? Divide by 7. So I get x equals 1/7. So what's my ordered pairs? Negative 3, 0, and 1/7, 0. Now, I do need to make a point about this 1/7. This is the only time that Math Excel will allow you to input that as a decimal. You know, the whole year I've been preaching Math Excel likes fractions and they have to be reduced. Well, for some reason, they'll allow you to put, instead of 1/7, I think that's 0.14, they will allow you to write that as 0.14 and 0. So these are saying the same thing. You choose to write it how you want. It will accept it either way. But I just FYI, okay, on that. Okay, we got one more to put in your notes. Okay, and I also, because I always like to give you kinds of heads up on Math Excel, typically Math Excel will give you one that has the negative with the A. That's the typical type of problem that you're going to see on Math Excel. Okay, so just be aware of, you're going to factor that negative out, and then what's going to be left inside the parentheses is the opposite of everything that was given to you. So this will be 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Okay? And we ignore that negative. That negative just tells us that the parabola opens down. That's it. And so I can use my trinomial my A value is going to be 2. My middle value at top is going to be negative 6, and my bottom value is going to be 5. So factors of 6, that will give you 5. 1 and 6, It's got to be positive 5. Negative 1. So it's 6 and negative 1. 2 over 6 reduces to, so this will be x plus 3, and the other side will be 2x minus 1. X plus 3 equals 0. And 2x minus 1 equals 0. Subtract the 3. Add 1. And divide by 2. Your ordered pairs will be negative 3, 0, and 1/2, 0.